Imagine you're trying to start a business, and the people who are closest to you, your close friends, your relatives, your family, they're not lifting you up. They're in fact bringing you down and making you feel bad about the decision you made to start your business journey. This video comes as a result of a comment that was left on one of my previous videos from Fabiano, who says, "It's really tough when everyone you know thinks what you are doing is a joke or waste of time. I love my small business, but I'm alone here. It's very lonely." It can be very deflating to hear over and over again that what you're doing might not be the best path for you. You might hear things like, go get a real job, or you could never do that. Or worst of all, they're literally telling you you are going to fail. How in the world can you build a successful business, which in and of itself is already hard and difficult, and you don't necessarily know all the steps, and you have to deal with frustrations and failures and trial and error, and then you have this kind of negative energy around you? Something has to happen. And today I'm going to talk about 5 things that we can think about to help us get out of this funk as a result of other people's stanky funk too. Yeah, that's right, I'm calling it stanky funk. Now, when I was starting my business in 2008, luckily I didn't have anybody blatantly tell me that I was going down the wrong path, but I had people from my architecture job tell me, what are you doing? You're throwing away all of your education and the time you spent climbing the corporate ladder. I had my dad tell me that I should probably just go get my graduate's degree, and then coming out of the recession, I'll be that much better. And it definitely messed with me up here. And it made it harder to get started and harder to actually push through a lot of the challenges that I was already facing starting a business. Here's the first thing I learned and the lesson I want to offer you. When people give you this kind of feedback about the path that you've decided to take, it's often a reflection of them, not you. I once heard that we live in a world that's like a bucket of crabs. If you actually take a live bucket of crabs, you can actually let it sit there and never have to worry about crabs crawling out, because as soon as one tries to crawl out or get out of this bucket, the other crabs will bring it back down. And there are so many crabs around us, pinching at you all the time. You're not good enough. You can't do this. You're not set out for this. You're too ugly for entrepreneurship. Yeah, actually, I've had one person tell me that before. Yeah, that didn't feel very good. But again, it's mostly a reflection on them and not you. They might see you reaching for the stars, and they might not feel so great about themselves if you go off and be successful and they aren't. You know, and when I think about my dad's answer for this, you know, go get a graduate's degree, you know what? That's like the same thing that he did. And that's what he knew. So me wanting to become an entrepreneur was almost a way to go, no, I don't think what you did is actually great. I want to do something that I think is better. So now looking back, I can empathize with why that advice was given to me. So again, remember, it's not you, it's them. Number 2, you want to remove yourself as much as possible from the negative energy, negative people, and surround yourself with people who will lift you up. In some cases, it could actually be pretty easy to cut off those who are bringing you down. As I often say, you are the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. And if you're spending time around all these negative people, well, you yourself are going to be negative too. But it's not always easy to just remove yourself, like if they're living in the same house as you. So what do you do then? Well, in that case, just don't bring it up. Bring it up in front of people who are going through the same thing, who are also building a business, who are also sharing the same kinds of goals and ambitions as you. People who will lift you up. And these kinds of people exist out there. And although it might feel lonely right now, you have to take some effort to go and find these people. They can be in communities and forums on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram. For example, we have SPI Pro, which is our premium membership that we've put together for Smart Passive Income and the entrepreneurs within the audience who can come together and serve and help each other, and again, never feel alone. If you want to check out SPI Pro, you can check it out at smartpassiveincome.com/pro, by the way. And if you're an introvert like me, it might take a little bit of courage for you to step out of your comfort zone, to go and meet people, to say hello, to go to conferences and actually interact so that you can find these people who will lift you up too. Number 3, this doesn't always work, but it can actually work wonders when you have a serious conversation with somebody who might be putting you down and truly letting them know how they are making you feel, and also helping them understand why you are doing what you're doing. Sometimes people say these things because they don't truly understand your motives or what the real reason why you are putting all this time and effort into entrepreneurship is. In many cases, it might lead to a negotiation. It might lead to somebody apologizing. It might lead to some better understanding between all these parties involved. In some cases, it might not work out, but especially if it's somebody like a spouse and somebody who you know loves you and you love them back, it can be very, very key to have these moments where you actually have real conversations about this. Like you sit down and you talk about it, not just in passing or snarky comments back and forth one way or another. Ask for support, share your why, and see how you can make the other person feel supported too. Oftentimes the other party is saying what they're saying because they're afraid in some way, shape, or form. And again, these conversations, a sit down, can surface exactly what's going on so that we all can be in understanding with each other. Number 4, this can be difficult to do, but it can be amazing. That frustration that you feel, that sometimes gut punch you get when somebody tells you something, some people, and it takes practice, can convert that negative energy, that frustration, into some crazy positive force that can be used to build the thing and create the thing that you're trying to do. It's sort of like saying, I'm going to show them, I'm going to spend more effort trying to dig into this audience so I understand them and I can serve them better. I'm actually going to get out of my comfort zone and get in front of the camera or get behind a microphone and actually create that podcast that I wanted to. Channel that 1.21 gigawatts of negative energy into your flux capacitor and your future. Sorry, anytime I can put a Back to the Future reference, I will. Now, I will say that sometimes when you are fired up, it can be difficult to focus. So having some boundaries, or what I love are deadlines, or also like the next milestone. Knowing what the next milestone is great, even if it's a small one. That way you can get some positivity, you can start getting momentum. Sometimes when I'm frustrated and I just work on the wrong things, or I'm wasting time. So put those boundaries in so you can focus and divert that energy to something positive. Fifth and finally, I'm going to quote Gary Vaynerchuk here and tell you that you won the lotto. Now, I don't mean the lotto like your state lotto and you've won millions of dollars. I mean, if you did, that's awesome. But honestly, you've won the universe's lotto, if you will. As Gary says, you are a human being. You didn't have to be a human being. It's like a 1 in quadrillion chance or some absolutely large number that you were born human. Are you really going to let these other people in your life, no matter how close they are? Yes, they've also won the lotto, but you know what? They're not making good use of their prize. But you have the ability to consciously realize that what they're saying doesn't dictate your future and what you know you can do. The last thing you want is to sit there when you're older and wonder, what would have happened if? Personally, I would much rather live a life full of oh wells than a life full of what ifs, because those what ifs are going to eat you alive. And to quote my friend James Wedmore, when you do something, you either get the result you wanted or the lesson you needed. So there is no failure. So go out there, do the thing, have the tough conversations, and surround yourself with people who can support you. You got one here, and I know many more in the comments as well. Thank you. Appreciate you. When you're ready, click on that next video right there. It's going to help you out next. Cheers.